Scott, tell us a little bit about the biggest one of all, the probably most popular for us and maybe for some of the listeners, the game, Michigan versus Ohio State. Give us a recap of what happened.
Yeah. Listen, the game let me down a little bit this week. And you know what? That's okay, because Ohio State, the number one team in the country, one of only two undefeated teams now, is the better team. There's really no debating that, right? As much as I would love to say Michigan is better than Ohio State this year, they're clearly not, and they weren't coming into this game. So yeah, Ohio State, they came in and they handled their business. They played Michigan in Ann Arbor, and it was a cold day. It started to snow pretty early on in the game. It was a weird time. It was a weird game because Michigan started out looking kind of flashy. They had a big run with Jordan Marshall, got a field goal in the first drive, and then immediately got an interception on Ohio State's first drive, got another field goal. So they took a 6-0 lead, which crazily enough was the biggest deficit that Ohio State has had all year. And that just tells me that they've had a Charmin soft schedule, as everyone has been saying. No, but you can make jokes or not, but basically the fact that the biggest deficit they've ever had is 6-0 is kind of insane. But the big story here is Michigan couldn't score. They had 3 field goals in the game, but they never put it in the end zone. And unfortunately, Marshall, who had just returned from a shoulder injury, re-aggravated that injury and missed most of the game. He tried to come back in, didn't really do much, and it really, we were already out our number 1 running back. Then we were out our number 2 running back, who was having a hell of a game. He had like 70 yards after like 2 possessions. And Ohio State made us pay, man. I mean, they came back and kind of dominated us. And the thing I think that I will give them credit for, and it kind of sucks to watch as a fan, is they played Michigan football against Michigan in that second half. They just ran the ball and they won the war in the trenches. And kudos to them, because they were not winning that war in the first half, but in the second half, they certainly handled their business. So yeah, good win for them. They were expected to win. That's the one thing I will say to everyone who keeps trying to act like I lost some big prize here. I didn't think that Ohio State would lose this year. They were supposed to win. The crazy thing is that they lost last year when they were supposed to win by even more.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta say, I don't know if Bryce Underwood's the answer. He was the big hype all year, all offseason, but he has had a couple of bad games. He had 60-something passing yards this game. I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know if it's coaching. I know he's barely 18 years old, so he's got a whole lot of time left. And this is a huge game. But it was like check down city, man. He was looking at his first look and he was throwing the ball. He was not reading the defense. He was not going downfield. I don't know. I don't know if that's a him issue or a coaching issue, but it gave reason for a little bit of concern.
Yeah.
I'll stop talking now. You can tell me what your thoughts were.
No. I mean, as you being a Michigan fan, definitely want to hear your thoughts. And I know we have some other Michigan fans that listen in, and got to give a couple of shout outs. I know you guys probably saw them, or if you haven't, check out our Bourbon Trail YouTube video that we put out. So cousin Tony was actually at the game. So he was there. He had a lot of fun. He said it sucked that it was snowing and cold, but he really enjoyed himself. I think it sounded like, from, him being a Michigan fan. And then, I usually would go to watch the game with a bunch of my friends who are Michigan fans. We usually go to this place called the Boat Club. It's not a fancy boat club. It's kind of like a hole in the wall type place, but it's full of both Michigan and more Ohio State fans. It's at a place right on the border of Michigan and Ohio State. So I didn't get to go this year, so it sucks, but I know the boys were there, and they probably were disappointed in the outcome, and I wasn't there to mourn the loss with them. So I want to say my condolences for that. But getting into the
real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just say, that place and all of your friend group that goes there, it's such a large group of guys that goes every year. It looks like the absolute time of the world, man. And every time that I've seen Snapchats and photos, every time I'm like, God, I just wish I was there, man. It looks like it looks so much fun. So shout out to your friend group for having traditions like that, because that is cool. I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's such a fun time. You can't even, you can't top it, especially when, it's just a great day. There's a chili cook-off, all the good stuff. My thoughts are, number one, I will give Ohio State credit, right? They came in, they handled their business. This is a tough away game, a rivalry match. Of course, anything can happen in this game, as we saw last year. I still, to this day, am confused how they lost last year. I'm not going to lie. They literally had no quarterback. I mean, and it was at Ohio State. That's the even more crazy thing, even a bigger um, gap to close. I just think Michigan's defense was much better last year. They had a couple of really strong defensive linemen who went to the NFL that we
Hmm.
saw they struggled with this year. And yeah, I mean, having your third string running back, that's rough. Your second string running back gets hurt. He has a big play, gets hurt, tries to come back in. I mean, man, who's going to win with a third string running back? Like, if you don't
Especially when you
have,
can't pass the ball, right?
yeah, I mean, if you don't have at least one or two reasonable or elite wide receivers that Bryce Underwood can throw the ball to, he's going to struggle. And yeah, their play call is something is up. I know my friends are calling for Sharon Moore to be fired. I think they don't like the play call. They think it's too conservative. They're like, give Underwood a chance. What the heck are we doing here with this kind of just abysmal, Michigan play calling that I think they've seen over the past couple of years, in their opinion?
I think that I'm going to be honest. I actually thought that we would lose recruiting power when Harbaugh left, and that Sharon Moore wouldn't be able to handle the Michigan program. And I
Mhm.
actually will disagree. I think that we lost a lot of really good talent in the last couple of years to the draft and otherwise. But
Yeah.
we have an amazingly talented young team. We have a ton of freshman starters, whether it's true or redshirt.
Yeah.
All of these freshmen playing, and I feel like yes, he did play too conservatively, especially in this game. It actually felt like Ryan Day of previous years, like how conservative he utilized his players.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was Ohio State's detriment for the last few years. And I hope that Sharon Moore learns from this now. This is his first time losing to Ohio State as a coach. And I hope that he realizes that you just got to attack and unleash the weapons that you have. But it's a really young team, and he's been able to captivate these young players. And even this upcoming year, we've got a lot of really good recruits coming to our program, including the number one running back recruit in the whole country. So I'm not out on Sharon Moore, but I want to see more next year.
Yeah. Well, there's always that knee jerk overreaction when your team doesn't do well that everybody calls for the coach's head too, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yep. I
understandable.
mean, people called for Day's head last year, and then they won the national championship a month later. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. That's usually how fan bases go. So, kind of take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. The one thing I do want to talk about is the controversial touchdown that Ohio State had that, not just in my opinion as a random average guy, but in the opinion of, I think, even like the rules analyst that was calling the game, or on the game for support, the both of the broadcasters that I was watching, many people, obviously, if you go online, definitely thought that should have been a touchback based on his foot being out, him bobbling the ball, all sorts of stuff that was very, I think, hopefully clear in video evidence. But what are your thoughts on that? Because that kind of, not to say that would have made them win, but I mean, that was a big momentum play that shifted, I think, some of it in favor of Ohio State.
All right. So this is going to be the non-biased part of me coming out here. By the book, by the rule book, that was not a touchdown. That shouldn't have been a touchdown. Everyone kind of agreed on that, except for whoever made the final decision. It should have been a touchback by the book. But what a stupid way to play the game of football if that isn't a touchdown. If you look at the eye test, and this goes for more than just that play. If a guy drops the ball on the half-yard line while he's running into the end zone and no one's touching him, that's a touchdown, dude. Like, we're in the NFL, we've had some big plays called back, called touchbacks, because guys drop the ball, they celebrate too early when no one's within 20 yards of them. That is stupid. On this play, he made a great play. He broke the tackle. He bobbled the ball going across the end zone. A reestablished possession after his foot steps partially out of bounds. But what a lame game it would be if that wasn't called a touchdown. That's my personal opinion. It takes away from the spirit of football, I think, if that's how you take it away. Now, that is different than if he was still trying to catch the ball, but he had already gained possession and then bobbled it and then regained it while technically out of bounds. I think it would be really dumb if plays like that dictated the outcomes of football games. And unfortunately, they do sometimes. That it passes the eye test. When you watch that play, you're like, damn it, they just scored a touchdown. And then they zoom in really close and you're like, oh, the ball popped up 1 inch. Maybe he bobbled it. I don't think that should be an issue.
Yeah.
However, the way that the rules are and the way that the book is written, that was not a touchdown. I'm glad that we didn't lose by 7. That would have really sucked.
Yeah. I mean, I see your point. I completely understand what, your perspective and what you're saying in the case you're making. I don't know. I mean, in a weird way, it's like I almost think it should have been ruled not a touchdown on the field and then have to be proven the opposite, right? Because there was kind of a moment there where you're like, did he step out of bounds? And I know, like, when you watch the replay in slow motion, right? Like, yes, I get it, like the eye test, all that. But even as I was watching it live, like when it happened, I remember thinking in my head, he may have stepped out of bounds and he definitely fumbled the ball at some point. Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like it was super clear where it was like, oh man, he just like, there was no issue with the play. So I just think it's kind of weird that an official would, and they like waited a little bit. If you noticed, it wasn't like an instant touchdown call at that
Yep.
point. Like if I'm an official, if I don't know, I'm almost calling conservatively saying no touchdown and let's review it to overturn the call. Like, because if you
Well,
call the opposite, it's hard to then overturn a touchdown. It's like it's almost harder to back
you have
away a
to have
touchdown.
evidence, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's my argument to that, and I like where you're going with this, but I don't think that there are. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think that there are guaranteed reviews on touchbacks. I think there are on
Mm,
turnovers that come by like fumble or interception.
yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong about that, anyone out there just comment and tell me like you're wrong and point me in the right direction. But there are guaranteed reviews on touchdowns. They have to confirm every touchdown. And
Gotcha.
so in my opinion, I think that might be why, if they weren't sure, that they might have called it a touchdown to just get another set of eyes on it. But you're right. Then you have to have proof to say otherwise.
Right.
You don't have to have proof to say that it was. You have to have proof to say that it wasn't. And that
Right.
makes it a lot more complicated.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, still would be a tough call for like I think it regardless if you're a ref, depending on your angle, that is a tough call watching it live, I imagine. That's not like
Yeah.
a oh my God, he was out. I think as a from me just being on a sideline this past year for a high school game, I can tell you it's hard to see things just even from a sideline perspective. So it's not as easy as it looks on TV. I just have to say that because I think a lot of people do get frustrated with the refs, including myself. And I know,
It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio gif where he like points at the screen. He's like, "Yo."
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm guilty of it. I've looked at stuff and been like, come on, how do you miss that call? But then I think back and I'm like, well, when you're on the field, it's really not as easy to see. It's very, very
Yeah.
more difficult than you'd think.
And like I said, man, by all accounts, that was a touchdown. Like whether or not he had possession or not, like it's just such a finicky rule. I don't know. If someone gets a 99-yard receiving touchdown and they drop the ball at the half-yard line while they're already celebrating, like does that make it not a touchdown? Technically by the book, yeah, but like,
Yeah.
come on, no one's within 20 yards of this guy, and now all of a sudden the other team gets the ball and there's no points. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a leeway there, and I don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah, I will end on this message. I am just very thankful that that play did not dictate the outcome of the game. It was a momentum swing,
Yeah.
but it didn't make Michigan lose, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. But well, we'll have to see. The streak has been broken. It's back, now with Ohio State. Dave Portnoy has to be quiet for X amount of time until, the upset happens again.
Really is confident.
Wow.
Is I've seen a lot of people talking shit on the internet about Michigan like guarding the center of their field after the game. I think it's crazy if you think that that's dumb. I think Ohio State should have done that last year. And people are like, "Oh, well, they lost the game. They should just get off the field." Like, no, they're on their home turf. This is their last football game of the season. Let them do whatever they want. Like, they're not playing football this week, sadly. So let them end their season however they want to. And if they want to guard their end, then that's fine. You shouldn't be planting the flag if it's guarded anyway. And if you're going to leave it unguarded, then let someone come plant the flag. But you, Ohio State, tried to pass a law to make it a felony to plant a flag. So you can't be mad if other people are trying to protect the center of their field.
They did have a flag, though. I don't know if you saw it. The Ohio State coaches were telling them, do not do it. Like, they were like,
I was going to say,
no.
to their credit, their coaching staff told them not to. And actually, as much trash as I've talked about Ryan Day, he was actually very proactive in trying to stop fighting from happening, however, whatever it took. And kudos to him. I think that was really, really a good move that he was trying to like proactively prevent any violence after the game. I know as fans, sometimes we're like, oh, but like these are actual kids, man. They're like 18 to 22 years old. We don't actually want them fist fighting outside of the actual football game. So kudos to him.
Some people do,
but we shouldn't, we shouldn't. That's not the purpose of watching football.
Yeah, that's what UFC's for, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of other sports.
Or what was it? Telephone boxing?
Oh yeah, phone booth boxing?
Yeah, phone booth boxing. Oh gosh, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But better luck next year to both teams, but mainly Michigan.